All right, what's going on? Welcome back to HQ. We're wrapping up another week of training. It was a little bit of an odd week. I was doing some traveling. I had a wedding on the weekend, so I only got 3 sessions in. But luckily, like I talked about last time, we have sort of an adjusting program that'll shift work onto the days that I did get, and I should be right back on track now. So some good progress this week, starting with my day one. And I've coined these sort of like rest pause sets. I've coined them underwater sets because it makes me feel like my head is underwater. I like my ears pop and stuff. It's really, really nasty feeling. And what I do there, and I'm not sure if I talked about this last week, but I started off with my SSB, and that was the same way I started last week. I do a set of 8 with a relatively high intensity, so 8 at 8 or so. And then I drop 15 or 20% of the bar load, rest another minute, do another set of 8, rest another minute, do another set of 8, until that secondary set of 8 becomes a 9 RPE. The other thing I really wanted to kind of touch on was that I talked to Mike, my coach, about the intent of this block and the intent of using that protocol. And one of the things that he alluded to was that the primary intent is to try to get more additional sets. So that secondary set of 8, for there to be more sets of 8 before it becomes a high RPE, before it gets really hard. And this week I actually dialed the weight back a little bit, partly because the last time I did my top set in last week, it was really tough, really janky. It hurt my hip. It didn't feel very good. This week I pulled it back 10 kilos. My top set was much better at 205. I got the 1 minute rest, went down to 175, got a set of 8 there, rested another minute, and got a second sort of back off or underwater set of 8. So seeing progress on the primary goal there, which is really exciting and a good thing. And that leads me to just kind of want to reiterate really quickly that if you are being coached, if you are writing your own programming, I think it's really, really important to always be intentional. And in order to be intentional, you need to know what the focus or the intent is of a prescription. So if you're doing an exercise you're not familiar with, if you're doing a specific variation, or if you're doing a specific protocol of a lift, it's worth asking either your coach or yourself why, right? What's the goal here? You know, Mike said the primary goal is to add additional sets to build that work capacity. The secondary goal would be to see that top set increase over time. Knowing that, I think I'm able to make better decisions in training. And I think if you understand in your training why you're doing certain things, why the protocol is presented and written the way it is, I think you're going to be able to be a lot more intentional and purposeful with your training as well, which should lead to better outcomes, right? The second movement that day, bench is in a place where it feels like I'm starting to kind of find my ground, find my footing a little bit with the bench, which is funny because I did feet up bench. My bench is one of those things that takes a little bit to kind of get the momentum rolling. And I feel like I said, I'm in a good place with it, and I'm able to kind of just chip away a little bit, and we'll talk a little more about that at the end of the week here, but able to kind of like just start seeing the momentum picking up a little bit. Shoulders feel healthy. Everything's working and in good position. So just 145 for 6 on the feet up bench, probably a little bit undershot on my top set. And then I got maybe 2 or 3 of those back off sets with the lighter weight. So again, seeing that sort of, I don't know, post set endurance or the overall work capacity, whatever quality that is that Mike's trying to cultivate with those back off sets, seeing that increase from the last time I did this kind of protocol with a press. So that was good. So the next day I trained was Friday, and this was in Winnipeg. Went in and just, you know, my top deadlift protocol for this program is just 4 at 7. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty minimal, moderate loading, you know, nothing crazy, no top singles, no super high reps or underwater sets or anything like that. It's just 4 at 7. So I got 2 nice easy sets of 4 at 300 kilos, just kind of moving through the motions, you know, feeling it out and seeing how things go. Unfortunately, it did kind of flare my knee up a little bit. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes over the next little while. It seems like it dissipated throughout the weekend, but at this point, that knee stuff I was dealing with prior to Worlds, I think is way more linked to my deadlift than it is my squat, which is interesting to know. So the second thing I did that day was the close grip bench, and worked up to 150 for 6 there, which is a pretty decent starting point given that I'm, you know, just starting to pick up momentum with the bench. And then a couple underwater sets, and then I went for actually a second full, I guess you could call it like an activation. So I went heavy set, bunch of back offs to a 9, full rest, full reset. The second day I went in was just upper body stuff. My lower body was feeling it from those deadlifts. So went in and hit and sort of like, I guess, repeated the 155 that I had done twice the week before, 155 for 5. And this was much, much better. So top end strength on the bench, definitely climbing. Saw at least like a half RPE undershot there. Better pauses on this. Watching that last week's training log, I was like, oh, like I didn't really pause any of those reps. I was not happy with that. And then an AMRAP, which I think, I'm not sure if I was a little bit heavier or if I was just a little bit more fatigued from the top set, but I ended up doing 10 at 10 instead of actually being able to get through all 11 reps that should happen at a 70% AMRAP. So all in all, a good week. Starting to see some momentum creep up a little bit. Felt good to do some pulls. I'm really excited about the upper back work in this program. I think it's gonna be fun to push. I'm doing some closer grip variations, which feel a little better on the shoulders. So hopefully that contributes to some good shoulder health. We wanna bring back potentially the question of the day. So if anybody has anything they want asked or answered about whether it's coaching philosophy or programming or, you know, athlete decision-making, any of that kind of stuff, hit us up in the comments below. Let us know, you know, I'd love some good discussion topic for these videos, which are gonna be coming out hopefully every Sunday. That's our planned schedule from now till Commonwealth. You know, if something happens, might be delayed a little bit, but we're gonna try to stay on that Sunday timeline. We also have our apparel coming out right away here. Next week, we've got our hats. We've got 3 different colors of shorts. We've got 3 different colors of shirts. It's nice stuff. If you want exclusive access, maybe a couple hours before launch, hit up the Discord link, and we'll see you next Sunday.